To start by sharing my DV recovery journey, I would have to say that it started years long before I even knew I was on a journey. And I understand why a lot of people look at it as a journey, but really, mm, a lot of people look at the life vertical and horizontal. And, and I do, um, I want you guys to know about a journey versus living life on life's terms. Because you have to realize that a lot of people have to accept uh, what happened along the way. Because there's a lot of concerns that were addressed years and years ago that I think are coming to light now. Now, in 1979, my dad had shared with me something and how it led me to Branson, Missouri. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even not remember my conversation with my dad that night. He was watching In Search of. My dad and my mom were in the middle of, raising 6 children at the same time. And there was struggles with families that, when it comes to raising a family and having to keep a home together, it could be overwhelming to parents. So I want to keep it really brief because I don't want to get into all the details of all our personal lives. That's not what the point. What I'm sharing with you is a prophecy that I had dreamed about and dreams I've had since 1979. And I've met every one of the people, individuals in my life, over my lifetime. I had very vivid dreams in 1979. My dad and I were watching In Search of, as I was sharing with you guys. He was a computer engineer. And he told us about the things that you hear about now. Mm. Things you heard about, you thought Alex Jones was InfoWars. We met the InfoWars long before we met Alex Jones. The Jones, yeah. My dad was the original tin cat. When I say tin hat, I mean, I'm not a doubter at all because I know, having heard the stories about when they talk about the tin hat and all that. But this is stuff that we learned years ago and why I really believe it's relevant to what we were sharing about the Trump movement. Because years and years ago, a lot of you guys know that there are kids out there, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts. We went to the Pinewood Derby when we were kids. And there were things going on as when we were kids that I think most of us didn't know, the ghost stories and things like that. When we have, my brother was probably about 5 years old at the time, and there was a kid up the street, and when kids are exploring and learning things, they venture off and I'm referring to myself as one of these who ventured off and learned a lot at a young age. One thing we did not understand is the responsibility, and this is why I hope parents are aware that your kids go out there and find out things. I would rein it in real quick and sit down and talk to your kids about sex. Because years later, as an adult, I realized that a lot of families don't realize their kids get in trouble really easily. And that's how we started learning things at 12. And when they're teaching in public school, and what you can teach your kids is structure and getting homework done. And not being distracted by all these other outside influences. Because my dad said something to me, and I think it just pleases. It's relevant today. It's the music that kids listen to, the subliminal messages, and some of the things that I think I know that when they talk about sound wave technology, I share with you guys, this is now just becoming now it's a regular discussion and people talk about this stuff, but back in 1979, it wasn't really a discussion. A lot of people thought, they were just a bunch of kooky people and crazy. Nowadays, sound frequency therapy and art therapy, that's really where we're at today. And back in 1979, you didn't have OTA, PTA like you do today. You don't have a lot of the programs that you have now. So for child abuse survivors and people who have the opportunity to get into, go to the open house or go to school and meet your teachers, and some of these kids, they didn't have very good experiences at school. So hopefully where we left off with crafts in third grade. I, I hope, I hope for your sake and those around you that nobody wants to see their friends or their family or anybody out there that doesn't have a place to go or someone to turn to. And that's why Alateen is, thank God for Alateen, thank God for the program. Because if you don't have somewhere to turn to, nowadays, there's meeting lists, there's places to go. If a parent is an active alcoholic or you have somebody in your family that needs help, get help. Go to detox, get clean. I can't tell you, I can't stress enough how important it is. Now, I know that's just a symptom. When we say alcohol is just a symptom of a bigger problem, there's a lot of people out there that have been through a lot, and I can't go into the details of those issues. I'm just saying, just go, just get to a meeting. Keep it simple. Don't get into all the shoulda, coulda, woulda, and mental gymnastics. I mean, getting to a meeting, getting your family, getting your lives manageable. Those are the things that are important. When your kids see your kids see your mom and dad going to a meeting, it changed the game for us. I love the fact that that all of us are trying to stay with the program. Now, believe me, my dad told me the same thing. Um, he had a few slips and he ended up on the street in Skid Row 3 times. And Pastor Paul Bigley's wife went through the same thing. So my dad was homeless, and I want to read these books. So what I hope you guys gain is, like, when you talk to a nurse or anybody who's been through some of the things that some of us have been through with our parents, especially when it comes to homeless advocacy, when it comes to orphans and raising money and things like that, this is a whole big ball of wax. In a nutshell, though, there's Bible studies, there's groups, there's all kinds of things you can do on your free time to keep your family and your friends connected. There's and I'll put some links below, so just as a reference. But as it stands right now, where I left off with my grade school teachers, now Hillsdale, where I went to elementary school, is now a police station. And I'm just grateful that there are people that stayed with us, because it's been a long haul for some of us to get home alive. So why I want to share with you what happened in 1979, because I want to leave it there. 1979, I was in third grade. I was in Mrs. Felder's class, and I had a dream, and I told my dad this, and it didn't dawn on me until this actually happened when I just turned 40 at the time. I had a dream, and I always said, I'm going to go to Branson. I remember saying this, and here we are years later. I have to drive to Branson, Missouri. And I drove to Branson, Missouri because it was suggested just go get some, medical care, so I did. And I went to Branson, and I had never traveled that far by myself at that point. And I drove to Branson, Missouri by car, and as I approached Branson, it dawned on me about the dream I had in 1979. And then I started talking and I started studying. I'm like, whoa. When I say deja vu, I'm not kidding. So I had those moments like, I can't believe this happened. Like, really? And so there I am. I'm driving in. I have no idea where I'm at. Really, I don't. It's Highway F. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had a dream about this in 1979. And I forgot about so many of these things. And I have to tell you, I started, put it this way, I went to a church over in Hollister, Missouri, and I couldn't get off the church sanctuary. And I'm not one to cry a lot, so you have to know, I couldn't stop crying. And by the time I get back to Pittsburgh and I'm driving back, I recognize that a lot of us have all been victims of child abuse, or maybe some of us had issues growing up. And so that's why I don't like pointing fingers when it comes to that kind of stuff, because I know most of us have issues in recovery, and that's really a lot of the issues that some of us
have to deal with day in and day out. And that's not really my issue at all. What I want to share with you is a prophecy, because it led me right here, I can't imagine what we would have done if we didn't reach out to some of you kids right now, who, you know, we can't watch our family go under. We can't watch kids go under. Uh, when I tell you that when you go to a therapist and doctor and you say, hey, there's some people in your family that need to get seen or get to a doctor, you don't want to see your home go under and things go under. That's why I'm sharing this right now. If you have the Lord in your life and you have grown up with a strong faith, get back to the Lord. Get back to church. Get back to your friends. Get back there. Uh, there are a lot of kids whose lives right now it's a difference of turning your life around. And there's a scripture in the Bible that the Lord will light a lamp under your feet. And if you've had grief issues or concerns, you can almost guarantee there's somewhere out there. You can pray, you can talk to friends, you don't have to turn to drugs, you don't have to turn to any of those things. There are people out there that do care. And I know that I'm looking at this is suicide statistics, and this is what provoked me to share this anyway. I heard a 12-year-old girl had committed suicide because she was a victim of bullying. I'm sharing this openly for the first time. I had taken a bottle of pills when I was little because of bullying. And I know there's a lot of bullies out there and it's intimidating. But I have to tell you, it breaks my heart. So I want you guys to know there's girls out here, kids out here. I don't know what the reasons why any 12-year-old want to take a bottle of pills. Please believe me when I say no one wants to get those ideas in their head. Please know that. I pray all of these kids, whatever's going on with the table chairs or issues at home or at school, we got to reach out and talk to these kids. Especially when it comes to suicide prevention or any concerns. You guys don't even know the difference it's going to make in the lives of the people around you right now. Especially if there's ever been issues with, some of you have had issues with animals. I know some of us, we've had injuries in the past. That's in the past. When it comes to suicide prevention, it's a matter of lives. And it comes down to something basic. Getting to group and staying in a 3-quarter house or sticking with a group that, is going to be there for you no matter what the circumstances are. That's one thing about open doors. And there's programs I listen to every Saturday night, every Sunday night. I mean, that really, you got to hang on to hope. And I've listened to Jen Hunt for years. And I prayed with the 700 Club for years. So believe me, it does make a difference. When you reach out to your friends. Now, one of the things is that therapy and breast cancer research and recovery and Relay for Life, we have so much going on. When I say we're involved, boy, we're involved. So, but Relay for Life, and there's a bunch of other things going on this weekend. And, but basically, when it comes to recovery and injuries and things like that, I mean, don't let your injuries, get, if you have a knee injury or a foot injury, have somebody pray over you. There's a good post on YouTube. Andy Firestone, yeah. He's one of those people that prays over people with injuries. So, I mean, refer over to those because it is that important now. As a wrap, though, why I call it Independence Boulevard. When I traveled, no one would have told me when I left, I ended up leaving on 4th of July, and I did not know at the time. I was just basically like, I'm going to go home. I ended up in Freedom, PA, so it blew me away. When I was listening to the song on the way home, I don't know if anybody ever heard Martina McBride's song, Independence Day. Well, I talked to several people throughout this that probably had experiences like this too. So I just going backtrack here. I started a blog, um, and I met Sean Hannity. And just recently, as you know, there was a school shooting, and you hear about these stories that swirl around about kids and things like that. And there's a lot of stigmas out there labeling. And if anybody's ever been in the hair fashion industry, we know a little bit about labeling. Labels, wearing the right clothes and things like that. And that's why when you go to school, and when I say finishing school or styling or, working as a stylist assistant, we stick with the generic products, buddy. Because there's a lot of labels altogether. And that's generally what's going on out there. A lot of people stigmatize and label kids and label families, and it's really sad to box each other in like this about what you see on the outside. And when we were in high school, a lot of us wore Swatch and United Colors of Benetton. So we didn't grow up with all these racial slurs. I mean, I don't know about you guys. You guys got to do your homework. You kids out here don't know much about the generation that grew up in the 80s. But it really turned the tide. And most of us did not grow up with those racial slurs out there. We did not. Most of my friends all basically had like Swatch and United Colors of Benetton. And I mean, so we're going to stay with what works. I can't peddle this argument about the hate crime stuff. It just does not work with the kids. I mean, one thing I can tell you, when we work together as a team or group, we can do really well. It just, I really don't like how divisive it's gotten out there. And some of it's driven by media. Some of it's driven by, they call it drive-by media. I mean, you kids, it's got to get back to sports. You got to get back to exercise and fitness and have fun. Some of us worked out the Taekwondo, and I mean, don't forget about what's good out there. You don't hear enough of the good stuff. Many of us worked out for years. Taekwondo, yeah. Taekwondo and the workouts, and believe me, I started working out the Gill like I think it's 1986, 87. So we do pretty good as long as we stay connected and work out. Don't worry about all that stuff out there, because there's a lot of people that peddle that, and I don't want to hear about it either. So, yeah, you guys, back to what it's about. If somebody needs somebody, and you need to reach out to friends, and you feel like you're stuck or trapped in something, or you're alone or worried, I mean, here are the clear signs: hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to people. Reach out to somebody who's going to listen. Okay? And the point of getting you all talking again, that's the whole point. At least we got y'all talking. So back to the monitor. Art therapy. Colors. Colorful. Of course, holidays are coming up. So that's kind of like the indicator. Thanksgiving. Yeah. And that's really, it won't stop until we intercede. It won't. We got friends and some people around us who've been sexually abused recently, and as of tonight. That's why we're getting out to you guys. Whatever's going on in the monitor and cybersecurity issues, we've already forwarded it to the Butler Police and some other police departments.